Hi guys, what is going on? And welcome back to another episode of Total War Arena. And well, welcome to version 3.1. Yes, we are on the Supertest. So, today I just wanted to have a quick look at some of the upcoming changes in the 3.1 patch. Some of the things that have been implemented. Obviously you can all get onto this Supertest and have a look if you want to, or you can certainly have a read through the patch notes, although they do get rather detailed in places, but there is quite a lot changing and quite a lot to talk about. So, I think we might as well just get started. I've written extensive notes so I don't forget everything, so hopefully this will be a fairly comprehensive guide to the changes. So, let's start at some of the low tier stuff. First off, the tutorial has supposedly been updated, which is probably completely irrelevant to most of you, so I don't even know why I said it. But there have been an increase in the number of unit abilities for the low tier units. I also noticed things like there's been a few of the icons have been reworked. Look here on Germanicus, this heavy infantry charge icon is different than it used to be. But more importantly, if we look at these units, we have new abilities where before they just had the light peeler and they reform automatically. They now have a jab. So order the unit to strike the nearest enemy, dealing damage and knockback on successful attempt, but reducing the striking unit's speed for a short period. So it's almost like a small or a poor version of a hamstrings or whatever the Phalixman ability is. So that's kind of cool. So that's been added in there. There's most units should have access to most units 1 to 3 should now have 2 unit abilities. So I'm just going to pick another one and have a look, see if that's true. Probably not cavalry is not a very good one to look at. Yes, so before the tribesmen, which is the tier 1 barbarian infantry, just had harass, that charge. Now they also get slam, striking enemies with a quick blow, causing knockback. The struck unit then receives. So it's very similar to jab actually, in the way that performs. It does knockback, but reduces mobility. Yeah, so very similar thing to the jab that the Romans get. But that's cool. So there's more options and more playstyles now available to the lower tiered infantry units, and they've also supposedly reduced the cooldown on these abilities so they can be used more often, which I think is a good thing. Sort of introduces the abilities a bit earlier on in the game rather than having a really limited amount with only one command ability to get till you get to tier 3. So on top of that, it's not just for the low tiers. Let's hop over to the tech tree. Supposedly some of the higher tier stuff also has introduced more abilities, which is looking like the case. There should be generally 3 abilities per unit. So yes, so the slam carries on through to, say for example in this case I think these are the tier 7 barbarian infantry, and we can also get a roar effect, reduces the morale of nearby enemies units, 20 morale. That's actually probably quite useful, as well as still having harass. That is quite useful, that roar. That would be particularly handy to have. In fact, this is a new ability, chosen ally, buff to nearby allied units. Obviously you get the javelins and harass. So the basic idea is they're giving you access to a wider range of unit abilities. That's going to be interesting, adds another slight element to the game, a few buffs here and there. So that's kind of cool. What else have we got to talk about? I was trying to talk about starting off at low tiers. So yes, so friendly fire is kind of quite a changed one. So archers at tier 1 to 3, as well there aren't any slingers, probably as javelins as well. All ranged units, I should say, at tiers 1 to 3. I don't know why I've gone to the Romans to do that. Should have reduced 50% reduced friendly fire. So when you're playing, if you're playing those really beginning games now, and you get new players in the game who don't really know what they're doing, and start to shoot at you, they won't do full damage. They'll do a reduced 50% friendly fire. More importantly, the accuracy of archers has been improved. So I know some of you initially will be sort of shocked to hear that, but in turn they have reduced the amount of damage each arrow does to keep sort of the net damage increase the same. Also, the recharge time on focused fire, the cooldown has been reduced there. The cooldown here is now only 10 seconds. So that it can be used a lot more regularly sort of when firing into those tight spots. I think that's probably a good change. Hopefully we'll see reduced friendly fire, gives our archers a bit more options where and when to shoot when there's already engagements going on, without giving them really a power increase. They should be the sort of same strength as they were before. On top of that, we have also seen that they have reduced friendly fire damage from deployables. So my understanding is that things like stakes, if I can get to some that you can use stakes, the infantry stakes that previously caused damage to units friendly or enemy. So if I was to run into my allies' stakes, then I would obviously die or lose a lot of units, but the ally would take friendly fire damage for that. Now shouldn't be the case. You should now be able to run through allied stakes without it being an issue. Well, that's my understanding of it from the patch notes, and that will be a very good addition because, you know, it stops people trolling, particularly with committing suicide, particularly with disconnected units on allied stakes, which is just kind of abusing the game. So it's a good mechanic I think they've decided to try and get rid of. Although, if you run onto friendly caltrops, you'll still get the speed debuff, so that's worth bearing in mind, so don't do that. What else have we had? We've had a new range of animations, which have been introduced into the game, which is kind of cool, although we'll pop into a battle shortly and see how they look. What else have we had? Oh, camera height. So if you go to your options, and you'll start on here, but if you go to the controls setting, you will see you should have an option here, a tick option called increase camera height. Apparently it does increase the demand on your system if you're going to zoom out a long way, but you have to actually tick this. If you don't, you will not have the increased camera height activated, and I believe that's going to carry through once they upload patch 3.1 to the main server. So yes, there's something to bear in mind and to watch out for. So let's hop into a battle and look at some of the changes that have been implemented there, rather than just sort of watching me talking at the screen. So I shall see you all in the battle. So we are loading in on the Battle of Hadrian's Wall. There's obviously not very many people on the Supertest server at the moment, so that's why we've got some slightly interesting matchmaking going on, ranging from me at tier 10, since I thought, well, I've got to try these guys out while I get the opportunity, down to some poor bloke at tier 3 with a bit of a light artillery. Yeah, so I just also thought we'd hop into battle. I wanted to have a look at the higher camera angle, thought that was something you might be interested in as well, and we'll have a bit of a talk about some of the balance changes that are going on in the game as well, which I think are going to be quite interesting, and maybe we'll get to see some of the new animations and stuff that's been introduced, and that sort of thing. So let's wait till we load in. Obviously I'm just having a play with the Roman cavalry, the Legatus cavalry I believe, using Scipio. So the first thing, and possibly the greatest addition in this patch, is the unit number identifiers. So I can press 3 and it corresponds to 3, 2, 1. The addition of this little number here is just phenomenal. That is absolutely brilliant, and something I'm really pleased about. That's something that should have been implemented such a long time ago, and I'm really pleased that that has been introduced into the game. So what else have we got? So obviously Scipio's got his 2 abilities, Vicious Strikes and Encourage, which gives a morale buff to allied units, which is kind of a nice little ability. And as I was saying, blimey, he has very high defense. Wow. As I was saying, yeah, there have been some balance changes. So first off, elephants have been changed slightly. So they've had a 24% reduction in their armour, which I think is a good thing, something that needed to happen. And that makes them more vulnerable to a lot more units, so they'll be able to be attacked better by different units of archers, that sort of thing, a lot more effectively. This feels just so harsh, charging these tier 5. Charge! Yes, so let's deal with that. So yes, that's been changed, but they have been given a stampede, which is basically a charge function that they have been given, which I think is kind of makes them a bit more like a type of heavy cavalry, which I think is interesting, and that's one thing that they've added in. So yes, elephants are becoming slightly lighter, slightly quicker, but slightly less heavily armoured. So I think that's all in all a worthwhile addition to the game, and that's good to be adding. Before I carry on, I'll just like to say, look how much higher this lovely camera view is. You get such a nicer view of the game. Definitely a worthwhile addition. I don't know why I'm not really focusing on this battle. It's more for the background effect. So yes, I think that's probably a good addition to the game with this camera, and that's really worth doing. So what else have we got in terms of balance changes? So we can expect to see an improvement to the Carthaginian infantry. They've said there's, so I think it's about a 5% increase on average to melee attack, a little bit of defence, and slight movement speed increase, I believe, which is a nice little addition. Nothing staggering, obviously, but you know, again, just that slight improvement, which I think is a good thing. Activate Vicious Strikes. Yeah, so we've got that to look forward to as well. And artillery, yes, this is the big one, which I was quite pleased with. They have nerfed the amount of projectiles artillery have. So instead of just having 3 projectiles like they do currently or something like that, which means you just get absolutely bombarded by a massive amount of projectiles, they now only get 1 projectile. I think there's going to be a consumable that allows them to have scatter shot, but they're generally going to just have the 1 projectile. And it's going to result in basically a decrease in the damage per volley as well. So it's basically a nerf for artillery. So yes, I think that's probably a good thing. I don't absolutely hate artillery perhaps as much as some people, but I really do dislike it. It is quite strong and, you know, can be quite hard to deal with at times. So yeah, no, I think that's a good addition, a good change to the game. And that's really about it for the balance changes. I'll put a link to the full patch notes down below, and that should give, you know, the real details of exactly what's being changed. It's a really detailed series of patch notes, so we've got a lot to look forward to there. On top of that, obviously with this super test, you've got almost an unlimited amount of free experience, silver and gold. So I'll be trying out some of the new premium units and doing a few premium unit reviews, comparisons to sort of some of the existing units, see what's sort of worth getting and what's worth avoiding. So yeah, so we've got quite a few things to look forward to. They've also added, I'm just reading through my notes, I've got like pages of of notes of things I've written down to say. So yeah, they've added in a reconnect button. I've not tried it myself, although I might try at some point turning the internet off and on just to sort of see how it responds. That's kind of a cool idea, adding a little reconnect button, see how, you know, so you can rejoin to a battle if your internet cuts out, because I know that's something that they certainly commented on. Charge this guy. Oh, these guys are tough. So these are the tier 10 Carthaginian infantry. These guys look badass. They're good gold shields. So yes, so these are the various things we've got to look forward to.
Give them death.
These Romans are great. Oh, I've just noticed Vicious Strikes has a knockback effect. The men strike dealing damage and knockback on successful attacks and gains increased in a short period of time. Oh, that's interesting. So some of the effects have actually been changed, not only new ones added. Oh, let's watch that again. There we get like it's almost like a mount kick that you get with this, which is very cool. So yeah, so we've got a wide range of new animations like that. The horses riding up and kicking, which is pretty cool. And yeah, some of the abilities have been reworked, particularly the unit abilities more so than any commando abilities. But yeah, it's a pretty cool addition to the game. So yeah, so a lot changing really, all in all. And that is about everything I wanted to cover. There's a new map as well, Oasis, although I haven't found that yet. If I find it, I might do a short little video clip on that looking at the new map as well, which would be kind of cool. But yes, all in all, quite a lot of changes coming to the game, and I think generally pretty good. We'll probably be seeing more from me and this super test, because I want to be having a look at some of the premium units we get available, particularly some of the new ones they've added into the game. They've added some pretty cool ones for the Carthaginians, like Hamilcar's veterans at tier 8. It sounds pretty exciting, but hopefully this evening the server will get a slightly larger amount of numbers and we can get into some slightly better battles. So thank you for watching my sort of short preview on version 3.1. I think there's a lot of positive changes coming for the game. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Anything that you sort of were expecting to come in patch 3.1 that hasn't, or anything that you think's been changed which is a bad thing, or things you're pleased about that are changing. Let me know what you think. Give the video a like, and thanks guys. I shall see you all on the next episode.